All right, hello, hey, how's it going? Here's another update for you guys. Um, my goodness, this is a tough. It's tough to do. It's tough to do this stuff, man. When you start to put into practice the things that you believe, there's great moments, and then there's not great moments. I've experienced some good moments of information and knowledge and inspiration, and celebration of right truth, whatever that means. And then I've also been experiencing some of the unfortunate aspects of it too, right? Getting put, getting arrested and having to experience what can and is considered by many people to be an injustice. There are so many aspects to this journey that I am learning about, and I think that it's super important to, yeah, I think it's super important to kind of know what the cost is. I mean, there's always a cost to everything. You don't get nothing. Do we get for free, right? Um, and if we desire to have something for nothing, then that's called theft, right? So everything costs something. There's always going to be a cost. We always have to count the cost for ourselves. And if it's something that you feel that you can do, then you do it. If it's something you don't feel like you can't, or maybe it's maybe not right now, then you don't. Um, I guess I wanted to share a little bit about the rest of my experience. As you guys, most of you guys saw the video. If you didn't see the video, I'm sorry. I did have to take it down because, not because someone was telling me or forcing me to do so, not by any means. It's just I just started a new job as an independent contractor. For most of you guys who know or don't know, I am an athlete, a professional athlete looking to make world and Olympic teams in the sport of wrestling. And so I've kind of always been in the public eye for that stuff, not for the sovereign, learning how to gain sovereignty, not for the sovereign movement stuff. So because I have been in the public eye with regards to my athletic career, it's something that I feel very strongly about that I want to, at least the club that I'm now working with, I want to make sure that we have a good footing. They are sponsoring me, they are paying me. I want to make sure that I just represent them and their brand well. And then obviously when I'm done with that, then I can go on and do whatever I want. But just right now, I feel it's wiser to not post those videos while I'm associated with that club. Um, for right now, okay, I did want to go into talk a little bit about my experience um, and what I've been learning and what I'm hearing from people who I think that are important and are playing big roles in my life at this time. I want to give a huge shout out to John out in Tennessee, who's been doing an amazing job, who was actually there at the arrest. And I guess I haven't really guys told you guys the whole story, so I guess I'll just start there. Um, I had came out to Tennessee from where I am now in South Carolina, and I drove out to do some wrestling, teach some wrestling, and I managed to do a few wrestling one-on-ones, and after around lunchtime, I had met with my buddy John, and we had just talked about some different things because I actually had a court case that I was considering going to in Kentucky, and it was over my last traffic ticket, and I was going to go there, but even that day, I decided that I wasn't going to go, and so it's so wild that I ended up getting arrested because I had made a plan not to go to my other court case and just to send in information that I thought would be helpful for it, which is the information that I had put in a few of my videos ago. And so we had made that decision. He was actually going to drive up there with me, but right after we had finished our lunch, got my plates off, my Tennessee plates, and I put on a new plate that I had just bought. Now, it wasn't the state national plate, it was actually another plate that I bought from somebody else. And I had screwed it on there, and I had him do it because he had the pliers for it, and all my stuff was back here. And and then I went to go do another individual wrestling workout. When I came from that individual wrestling workout, which is around 4:35, I called my buddy and I said, "Hey, will you meet me at this place? I think I'm going to change my license plate back because I just don't want to have to deal with that. I didn't want to have to deal with having a target on my back." Um, I'm 2 minutes away from meeting my buddy to change my license plate when what you guys saw is what you saw, which is essentially that I got stopped by a lieutenant of, I think, the Kingsport police, or I don't know if he's from the sheriff's department. I don't know who he was. But I get stopped. And the one thing, obviously, that I was trying to say is like, hey, what are you stopping me for? He asked me for my license, and I gave him my international driver's permit and license. And he didn't ask for a United States license. He didn't ask for a state license. He asked for a license. So I gave him what I had. Not that I don't have a license, a state license. Not that I don't have registration. I do have registration. Not that I don't have these things. And I mean, there's pity people who are in the comment section saying, well, if you're going to be in, you got to be all in. All right, hey, I get it. That's not where I'm at in my journey right now. What if I want to drive in commerce? Wouldn't I need that? So yeah, I think it's important to know, just to be on our own journey, right, and not to criticize other people for where they're at. If that's where you are, then be there. If it's not, then don't. I I so anyways, I thought that these guys would want to have a civil conversation. I guess I was just thinking about the good of humanity, and I still think about the good of humanity. I don't think that what they did was wrong per se. I think it's their job. I think it's what they're trained to do. I think that they have a certain way of viewing certain people. I think that there is a prejudice, and I think that there is a discrimination against people who ask questions and who want to assert and defend their rights. And I think that they see that as a threat to their existence. And it's no different than you look at the Matrix. It would basically be me in this context trying to have a conversation with these agents, right? Who don't, in the end, really care what your end goal is. All they see you is as an enemy, and all they see you is as a threat. They do not see you as a human. And I don't think that that's being negative in any way. I think that that's just the truth. When they are operating in a capacity as a public official or a some type of fictional entity, they are operating by certain rules, by law, statutes, code, ordinances, and they seek to enforce those upon every person or entity that they come across, even even if there is no contract, right? And so obviously I didn't have a contract with these people, but they felt that it was okay and lawful for them to arrest me. And so with that being said, there's no contract with regards to a license plate, and there was no contract with regards to a actual license. And so that's why they arrested me. Okay. When I had asked them for all this information, that's when they, decided that they would use threat, force, coercion, and violence against me by threatening to break my window. And I, you know, conceded, but obviously under duress. And that's when they, put handcuffs on me. I ended up going to the car. The interesting aspect I thought personally was that there was, I want to make sure that this is working, that there was, I guess the reason I think that's what I want to point out is that the person who took me to the prison or the jail or whatever it was, he immediately kind of switched. They switched up, right? They're very double-minded in their approach to me, in the sense that at one point in time you're threatening to break my window. At the next point in time you're asking me how I'm doing, what I do for a living, how I'm, where I'm from. And obviously some of these things can be seen as tactics just to gain information from you. And then on the other side, maybe it's just they're now operating in a human capacity. Either way, it wasn't something that it was something I noticed for sure. And when I got in, they asked me a bunch of questions about medical questions. Um, I just said I don't feel comfortable answering that for all of my questions. Then they took me to the back and they wanted to fingerprint me. I said that's something I don't really want to do, but I did it under duress. And so I said I'm doing this under duress to the cameras and to the audio, and I put my fingerprints in, then he pressed them down. They gave me a two-piece suit. I think it was green or lime green, pants and a shirt. I had to take off underwear. I got to keep my socks on, which was great. And I was in the jail for approximately, I don't know, 2.5 to 3 hours, probably. Probably more around 2.5 hours. When, thankfully, my buddy John, who was literally watching the whole thing unfold, he had called and he was pressing them to make sure that they got that paperwork in so that way I could make bail. Originally, they were trying to force us to pay the full $2,000, which is how much the bail was cost. I had 4 different accounts. I had one account of driving without a license, one account of driving without a license plate, one account of driving without insurance, and then one account of resisting arrest. And apparently, from what I hear, you don't want to argue those facts. You don't want to argue the facts of the case. And again, there's multiple ways to go about this, but one of the guys who I've been talking to, he says you don't want to argue the facts of the case because you can't argue the public debt, is what he says. You cannot argue the public debt. And all that to be said, I got bailed out. I ended up having to stay. They actually towed my car. Not only towed my car, but they took my license plate away too. So they took away my private property. And I ended up staying at my buddy's house. And that night we were up till about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning just writing out what I would say for the next morning. And I forget exactly what they call it. But it's something where they give you, your case, and they let you know when your next case is going to be. I don't think it has anything to do with if you plead guilty or not guilty. It's they call it an arraignment. So I had an arraignment at 9. Got up. I was able to pay the money to get my car. I was able to go to the Walmart and get some clothes, which is just a white shirt and some like Dickies pants, because I wanted to be presentable, but looking back, it was not really necessary. Because when I got in there, after about an hour, the judge showed up and he called names and he just was rapid fire giving them their arraignments. When he called my name, I decided my approach was going to be not to identify with the straw man, because I am not that man, and I would only be acting as a registered agent or an authorized representative for that estate. And so when I stood up, what I said was that I am here, I am nation, I'm here to settle the matter on that estate. And he said, well, who are you? I said, well, I'm nation of the house of Garrett, and I'm here to settle that matter on that estate. And he said, well, we're looking for Nation Garrett, the one who posted bond. And I said, well, sir, I'm here to settle that matter on behalf of that estate. And basically, they didn't hear me at all. And they said, anyways, they put out a bench warrant for Nate, that all cap name. And so what ended up happening after that was I went and I filed some paperwork on the record. I filed my declaration, my political declaration. I filed an act of expatriation. I filed the assumed names, and I also filed something else, which was, hold on, let me see if I can grab this paperwork for you. I'm getting more organized. Oh, Lord. which was this paper. It is a Tennessee, state of Tennessee certificate here of self-insurance. Someone sent me over that, and so I had it filed. Now, when I went down there to file the information, this information, they were not very kind, I guess, in so few words. I went down there and I said, hey, I'd like to file some of these into the record for that case. First, I wanted to, I wanted to appeal I wanted to make an appeal, and they wouldn't let me do that because I would not identify with that name. In fact, the same cop who was there at the arraignment, he came out with a paper and said, and really kind of threatened me, and used threat to try to get me to identify with that name. Is this you? That's what he said. Tiny little thing. Is this you? No, I don't want to hear that. Is this you? And I said, sir, as I told the courts, I am a registered agent, and I would like to settle the matter for that estate. That's what I'm here to do. And then he walked away in the back, and he actually tried 2 times to get me to identify with that name twice, which has to be against some law. But the second time, he actually grabbed a piece of paper that I had signed to get out of jail, to get all my stuff. And he said, he brought this paper up. He said, is this you? And I said, I don't feel comfortable answering questions, officer. And so then he went away. And so twice did he try to kind of coerce me to engaging with that name. Now, after that, I did give it a weekend, and I did check, and so I am on the file. I am on their system or whatever. It's a criminal traffic violation, but it's a misdemeanor. Okay, and so that means that they're not going to become knocking my doors down, from what I understand, anytime soon. But the approach that I'm kind of taking right now is just to get better evidence, right? I think that I have a pretty strong case for the fact of being a registered agent, and I have a lot of information with regards to what a registered agent is. If you guys want more information about that, I would encourage you to reach out to or follow Pastor of the Way. I think he's on Telegram. You can find him on probably TikTok also. And all that to be said, then I made my way home right after that. But yeah, John has been super, super helpful. This is my buddy in Tennessee, and he's been contacting these people. His big problem right now is that he doesn't believe that they're going to, his whole thing is that essentially if I'm not an attorney, I can't act on behalf of a corporation in commerce, right? Whereas my buddy Pastor the Way is expressing that as a registered agent, I can't, not that I can act as an attorney, but that there are certain things that I can do on behalf of the estate. So all that to be said, we know that we can always challenge jurisdiction. It's just a matter of whether or not they're going to be able to hear us and hear my voice if I don't claim to be that person, which I'm not going to claim to be that person. And if I have to claim to be that person, because had I had said, oh yeah, that's me, to that officer, he would have arrested me on the spot, right? So I think it's obviously clear that we are not that person, but there's a lot of trickery and deceit that goes into this whole thing. And I don't have any evil feelings towards anybody, guys. To carry evil feelings is to perpetuate the polarity and the negativity. I don't want to do that. That's not my purpose. My purpose is to diffuse and to transfuse that kind of energy, this good, bad, just, unjust, evil, good, whatever it is. I want to diffuse that, okay? So that way we, can look at it from a pure standpoint, okay? If I have a warlike mind about things, I'm just engaging with my ego. And as long as I identify with form or thought, thought form or emotional form or physical form, and see people only as that and label them as this or label the system as that, it's just a thought, okay? And I have to be careful not to, and we have to be careful as a society not to identify with form to the point where it becomes us. All right. So all that to say that's kind of my experience. I wanted to put that out there and just share with you guys a little bit about what I'm doing. It's a long, tough road, but it's something that I feel very thankful about. And I appreciate all you guys for following. It's been really great. If you guys have any thoughts or suggestions or ideas, like I would love to hear what your thoughts are. Just try not to give me huge statements in the comments because it can be a little bit too much sometimes, and I don't want to miss it. Okay. So much love to you guys. We will see you on the next video.